Good morning and welcome to ASL's HR in 10.
At 10.
I'm Jason Perry,
And I'm Kimberly Bradshaw.
and today we're trying to stream this with a few technology problems. So forgive us if this isn't quite as perfect as usual, but we're doing our very best to make this work. Live always adds something, doesn't it, Kimberly?
It does. It's fun and games and adds to the tension of the day.
Yes, it's when you spot 5 minutes before you're going live that the camera doesn't work and you have to make emergency adjustments. But hey, where shall we start, Kimberly? What exciting things have been happening in the world of HR this week?
Well, I think it would be foolish not to talk about the fact that, in theory, the world is reopening on the 21st of June, and whether we think that that is the case, given that scientists are saying there's an early sign of a third wave or fourth wave, whichever we're on.
Yes, I've been, for those who've been following my views on this, I've been changing my mind on this, I think every day for the past 2 weeks now, to the point of it will, it won't, it will, it won't. Um, I think it's going to open is where I am. But more seriously than that, I think I'll say you shouldn't believe my view. And therefore, my advice is don't reopen on the 21st because I don't think we're going to get enough time to keep people confident.
Yes, and that's very much reflected in the people that I'm talking with, on a day-to-day basis. Most people that I speak to they're not looking to restart in June. They're looking at extending to furlough until, the very end, as at the end of September. So, I'd be surprised if work opens up as much. And I
mean,
think
what we're
also that.
seeing, sorry, go on.
Yeah, go on. No, you go.
What we're seeing is a much more vibrant economy than we've seen for many, many months. So an awful lot of organizations are opening up in a business sense, but it's about how do you get those people safely back into the workplace, isn't it? And I think the issue is, and you and I, our favorite phrase, hearts and minds. What we need to do is make sure when you invite your people back into an office and they have to sit, desk to desk alongside each other, we need to make sure they feel confident. And if Boris announces on the 14th of June, yes, we are reopening, I don't think that gives companies realistically enough time. It's almost like shutdown of, right, everybody work from home tomorrow. I actually think this needs a little bit of planning, a little bit of consultation, and to carry people with you.
Absolutely. And I can't remember what the statistic was, but I remember we've talked about it a few times that quite a large percentage of people were anxious about catching the COVID in the workplace.
Yes.
And I think that moves us on neatly to the survey recently by Barnett Waddington of 2,000 workers, who suggested that 33% of people will quit if they're not allowed to continue to provide the work environment that they want. So,
Yes.
flexible working is going to change the face of work.
It really is. We've seen a small number of employers. You possibly have the stats more at hand as I do, given our technical troubles this morning. But we've seen a lot of companies try and decide what they're going to do going forward. There are a small number who are being quite adamant. No, we're going to return to normal, and I think that's incredibly dangerous.
It is. It won't be normal. It can't be normal. It all links into what we were saying about the 21st of June. Things will have to change in order to make certain people are reassured and relaxed. I know from the survey, it was 23% said that this is of the 33% who will seek work elsewhere. 23% said that they would talk to senior management to try and find a resolution. But what astounds me and goes back
11.
to our favourite saying, hearts and minds, is the 11%,
Yes.
saying leave.
Yes, yeah. And it is, I mean, bear in mind, those 33 actually said they would leave. It's just 23 of them also said they'd consult first and say, I'm going to leave if you don't do something. But the reality is we have a workforce now who actually are feeling that if they don't get something they feel comfortable with, they're not prepared to take the risk, and they will move with their feet somewhere else. And you're going to find yourself in a position where recruitment's hard enough right now. Anyone who's tried recently has seen there's a shortage of good people out there. But if you also can't retain your people, you're going to end up in a major problem as we go through this next phase of the recovery. And it was probably just over a year ago, just before we went into the pandemic, we ran an event at the Sussex Exchange called an Employer of Choice. And I think it's more important now than it probably has been, certainly in the last 10, 15 years, I'd say, to get this stuff right. So people, A, want to work with you, and B, want to stay there once they're there.
Mm. And it's, it's what we said earlier. It's about making sure that people feel involved. The more involved they feel, the more listened to they believe they are, the easier it's going to be for everybody to make the right balance going forward. I think also that touches on mental health. I know we were talking about that quite a lot yesterday. And, yes, people are concerned about going back, and it might be that that's driving an increase in mental health cases. But even companies that we know that have been absolutely model employers around this whole crisis are seeing an increase in mental health cases. And I know, with my occupational psychologist hat on, that there's almost a kind of agoraphobia for people that have been at home who are now trying to return to the office. What do you think about all of that, Jason?
Oh, I think you're absolutely right, Kimberly. What we've seen, and it's almost a cumulative effect, we've had various periods of new rules, us learning a new way of life, really, learning not to be sociable animals, which essentially we are. And that process of opening up, people are nervous of it, and there's a large degree of discomfort as to how we go back. And that's going to affect work as well as all other aspects of people's lives. And A, it's more important again than ever to get the mental health support right. But B, we need to be looking at these people as we think about reopening and thinking, what do our people want? What do they need from us? And the thing that struck me was the kind of differences by, let's say, age groups or salary levels of what people wanted. Anecdotally, we might all logically be able to say, oh, let's say a slightly older worker has a settled family life might be perfectly content working from home, whereas a younger worker on a career path might prefer to have a more social environment and work in an office. But as we look at some of that in the numbers, it's really striking, isn't it?
It is, yes. 49% of 18 to 24-year-olds want to return to the office full time. And I'm just scanning the figures now, and whereas 66% of those over 55 would prefer a form of hybrid working.
Yes, yeah. And the numbers also go in to look at what the case is on salary levels as well. I heard, and I'm not going to attribute it to anyone, but a very, very substantial top 100 law firm, somebody told me that they'd done a study and seen people earning over 35,000 a year were more productive working from home, and those earning under 35,000 were less productive at home. And the reason they don't want to have that attributed to them is it's incredibly controversial data. How do you tell your more junior people that actually statistically it doesn't work?
Yes, I can't see that. To me, that's down to line management. Yes,
I agree.
It's how you manage them, and we've talked so many times here about how you need to line manage in a different way and how you need to measure output, not input. I think that's down to potentially out of date line management practices, personally.
Yes. Again, Kimberly and Jason agreeing on air. Who's seen that before?
We did disagree once upon a time, I remember.
I think we noted it in a diary somewhere, so we can go back and have an anniversary. But yeah, it does happen.
It
But
does.
in terms of looking at this, what we've seen again, aside from whether or not it works, we've seen the people who earn the most substantially want to work from home. And it is back to, I said anecdotally, we can see it, but the numbers backed up in the survey results, aren't they? I think it was 54% of those earning over 125,000 wanted hybrid working. And was it something
Yes.
like 48% of those earning over around
Nearly it's
50,000?
47 of those earning over
47.
45,000 want
But the
hybrid
num
work.
yeah, yeah, but the number drops dramatically when you go down to the lower salaries, doesn't it? And it's not just youth. It's about a career path, I think, and those people are still forming their career, their lifestyle, and actually work. The office, it's a key part of who we are.
It is, and it relates to, younger people that are potentially more, the social aspect is more important to them. They want to make friends at work. When
Mm.
you're older, yes, you have good friends, but they're not necessarily work related. I think
Yes.
there's something there as well, but I'm not going to pontificate for too long because I can see we're out of time.
We are, this is HR in 10, and we've been talking for just over 10, so we are out of time. It does look like miraculously we may have made the technology work long enough to actually go live as planned. So thank you very much for watching. For once, I'm going to say thank you for not asking a live question on air, because that may have been a step too far today. But we will see if we can make the tech work better and get a slightly higher quality episode out next week. But thanks for watching. Hope it's been useful. And do click the subscribe on our YouTube channel.
Definitely. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye, Kimberly.